From last year until now, the Lord has given me revelation 3 times about the 7th seal from the 7 seals in Revelation. He gave me 2 last year, and He showed me the last 3rd revelation this year, and I see that there isn't really much time left, and although this is a short revelation, I am sharing it because the Lord gave me the heart to share about this. First, I will share the 3rd revelation that I received this year. It was not that long ago. That day I was preparing something, and the Lord guided me to read Genesis 7:4. Genesis 7:4. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. This verse is the part after the ark is completely made, and God tells Noah that in 7 days from now, rain will fall. As I was reading this verse, the Lord told me that the world right now is the situation right before the door of the ark was closed, where the time of the 7 days told to Noah is almost over. And He said that the 7 days before the rain fell correspond to the 7 seals in Revelation. He then showed me how far we are in the last 7th seal right now, and that time is all finished and only the very edge portion is left. However, that wasn't just an edge, but it was a sharp edge that corresponds to the edge of a very sharp sword. The Lord showed me the very sharp and keen edge of a sword in order to explain that the time of the 7th seal has come to an end to that point. He said that this is the situation just before the rapture occurs, which falls under the same time as right before the door of the ark was closed. This is the 3rd revelation that I received a few weeks ago. And I received the 1st and 2nd revelations last year, but I will start with sharing the first one. At that time, the situation of the whole world was urgently moving due to the pandemic. As I was looking at the suddenly changed world, I felt that the Lord's coming was very close. That is why, every day I thought about the rapture and read Revelation over and over again. Then one day, when I was reading the scripture about the 7th seal in Revelation 8, the Lord interpreted chapter 8, verses 3 through 5 for me. Revelation 8, 3 through 5. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer, and filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. And there were voices, and thunderings, and lightnings, and an earthquake. Here, the angel brings the golden censer, filled with the prayers of the saints. And the golden censer is filled with the fire of the altar, and as the Lord was showing me that image, He told me that that is the time of when the rapture occurs. Which means that the rapture will happen with the last trumpet after the golden censer filled with the prayers of the saints is ascended up before God when the angel fills it with fire of the altar and casts it into the earth. This is the first revelation that I received about the 7th seal, and I received the 2nd revelation a while after. At that time also, I felt even more that the rapture was imminent, and it was a period where I would ask the Lord how close that time was and kept reading the book of Revelation. Then one day, the Lord interpreted to me the word of Revelation 8:1. Revelation 8:1. When He opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. As the Lord emphasized this verse to me, He said that right now the 7th seal has already been opened and the world has entered the time of the half an hour. Also, heaven being in silence for about half an hour signifies the calm before the storm, and He said that the world is in the calm before the storm in order for frightening things that are unimaginable to happen ahead. With the start of the pandemic, the world is becoming more and more chaotic, but these things are just the beginning, and is nothing in comparison to the huge storm that is about to come rushing in. Because this is the time where heaven is still in silence, terrifying things are not happening yet. And because of that, people are still living in circumstances where they are eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, buying and selling, and building houses. However, soon, this time of silence will end at the same time the rapture occurs, and the Antichrist will appear, and not too long after, the trumpet disasters will start. The 7 trumpets that will blow for these trumpet disasters have already been prepared beforehand in Revelation chapter 8, verse 2, when the 7th seal is opened. These trumpets will start to blow simultaneously as the 7th seal ends. This is the point where the Great Tribulation will actively begin. Anyway, at that time, I was very happy at the thought that the rapture was going to happen soon, when I knew that the 7th seal had already been opened and that heaven was in silence, in the calm right before the storm, for the half an hour. This is because if the 7th seal in Revelation 8:1 has already been opened, then the rapture will soon take place, which is the scripture in chapter 8, verses 3 through 5, when the golden censer filled with the prayers of the saints is cast into the earth. So, at that time, I was curious how long of a period that half an hour was, and so I read the book of Revelation and researched the verses that depict time. Of course, it is impossible to exactly calculate that time. However, when looking closely at those verses where time is depicted, it could be inferred that the period of the half an hour is not that long of a time. This is the second revelation that I received last year, and the revelation I received through the book of Revelation 7:4, as mentioned earlier, was the third one that the Lord showed me this year. After I received this third revelation a few weeks ago, I was very surprised to see that the only time left of the 7th seal is like the sharp edge of a sword. It is because I foresaw that there wasn't much time left, but I couldn't imagine that it was at the edge to that point. Yes, that is so. Right now, we are at the point where the 7th seal is coming to an end. The time that God had told Noah that it would rain in 7 days is coming to an end, and now it is right before the door of the ark is closed. To reiterate again, it is the circumstance right before the rapture happens. When the angel raises the golden censer, filled with the prayers of the saints to God, and pours the fire of the altar to the earth, the rapture will take place. The time of silence in heaven will come to an end like that, and afterwards, the Antichrist will appear and actively be at full work, and the 7th seal will also completely end. And from then on, an uncontrollable storm will come forward. That is because the Great Tribulation starts with the 7 trumpets. That day will become a terrifying day of God's judgment. The way to escape that is only by being awakened through prayer and preparing your oil and being raptured. Anyway, these things are the revelations about the 7th seal that I received from last year until now, and the Lord gave me the heart to share this, so I obeyed and shared. Right now, the time is so close. Therefore, if there's anything that takes away your heart above God, you must cut it all off. Television and the internet, movies, games, etc., all media like these act as a medium to entirely steal people's hearts. These are sleeping pills that are making people fall into a deep sleep. Satan is using the media as a strong weapon for making people fall into a deep sleep during the end times. So, if you are addicted to these things, you cannot be raptured. Your whole mind is soaked into the media, not focused on Jesus, then how can you be raptured? While you are enjoying the media, your mind gets far away from God. If the last trumpet is sounded at that time, will you ultimately be able to hear that sound? No, you won't. Only the awakened bride, whose heart is concentrated solely on Jesus, can hear the last trumpet sound. Therefore, we must cut off all things that takes away our mind and the sleeping pills that make us spiritually fall into a deep sleep. If you can, throwing away the TV is also a good method. Even for the internet, it is good for you to watch only the spiritual things that help towards the rapture and the information that you essentially need. And it is good not to spend too much time on the news, unless to spend a little time to see what is going on in the world. Because now is the time you have to be awakened with all your heart. You must clear all things that are obstacles to the rapture. Also, you must lay down all longings of the world. Lot's wife looked back because of that attachment of the world and became a pillar of salt. She surely received redemption from Sodom and Gomorrah, but at the last moment lost that redemption. This is a lesson that applies to us as we approach the rapture. Therefore, lay down all the things of the world and do not look back, and cut off everything that takes your heart away and focus only on God. This is the way you can be raptured. And from now on, you must maintain a holy life, being awakened more and more in prayer and repenting every day. Although there is not much time remaining, I believe that if we prepare for the Lord's coming with all our hearts like this, we will all be sufficient to be raptured. Jesus is coming soon.